Hello and welcome to another episode of Hospo Happy Hour, proudly brought to you by Hospo for Life and Warner's Distillery. In today's show, we'll be discussing wellbeing takeaways from the Blue Zones with Sharon Richens. Then for last drinks, join Brisbane chef Dominique Rizzo, travel curator and food advocate, talking about the challenges of self-employment, new ventures and coming out of the COVID cocoon. Let's get the show on the road. So up for the first round today, we're joined by Sharon Richens, Wellbeing Specialist from the Altius Group. How are you, Sharon?
I'm great, Liam. Great to see you again.
You too. So talk to me about wellbeing takeaways from the Blue Zones. Look, I touched on that over the last few weeks, and that's what can we get from that?
Yeah, look, I think it's such an interesting sort of group of people to have a look at in the context of hospitality workers, and I've been, reflecting and thinking on it quite a bit myself. And for those people that don't know what the Blue Zones are, basically they're pockets across the world where groups of people live that have long life, so longevity of life. But they not only have longevity, they have good health that comes with that long life. Yeah. And so what researchers have done is that they have looked at these different groups of people, and there are basically there's a group in Greece, there's a group in Costa Rica, there's a group here in Italy, and as well as in California. And researchers have looked at, well, what are the common factors or common habits that these people have, which we can learn from, to say, well, what gives us good life, longevity, and in terms of well-being. And there are really some key areas that I thought would be really great to sort of touch on today, and in the context of hospitality. Have you come across any readings at all about the Blue Zones? Is that a concept you've been aware of?
No.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So, look, in terms of the 4 key areas, and if you just want to perhaps pop up that first slide, sense of purpose is a really key common factor that these people share. And I think, again, it's very, very helpful and really valid in the context of the hospitality industry to think about that at the moment, because obviously we're in this period of time where a lot of people within hospitality aren't working. Obviously, with some of the announcements that have come out in the last couple of days, there's a little bit of a shift of the dial for some people, hopefully, in hospitality, that may be able to return to work. But in terms of your personal well-being, having a very strong sense of purpose, we know is a really important factor that contributes to good mental health and to good well-being.
Oh, that is.
And so, and I think for people, a lot of people in the hospitality industry, they have a very strong love of their work. Often it's that passion and that interest in the industry that has really driven them, perhaps as a to start with. They will be their very strong sense of purpose. So it's important not to undervalue that, in terms of coming back to work and thinking about coming back to work. Some people may be, taking this as an opportunity to move into a different line of work, perhaps with hospitality, or and I also think it's relevant in terms of maybe taking some time during this period to, as we've touched on in some of the other sessions, to really think about what is your sense of purpose, and is this an opportunity to improve and perhaps become a better version of yourself by learning some skills, or getting really clear on what it is that you want to do with your work, because we know that connection between sense of purpose and value with work is so fundamental to someone's general mental health and well-being.
Yeah, definitely.
And so if we look at some of those, then the next point, and again, I think this is really really interesting and relevant in terms of the hospitality industry is that one of the other key factors for people that live a very long life and a healthy life is that they have a lot of movement within their day. So they move, it's this concept of moving naturally and moving consistently. So in our Western world, sometimes, people think of exercise and movement as going for a run or going for, going to the gym for an hour. However, what we know from this research is that low-grade, constant physical movement is actually what is most really beneficial for health. And so I think that's interesting in terms of the hospitality industry, because we know that, typically you're on your feet a lot, and it's quite a physically demanding, in a way, job a lot of the time. And so that's a really positive thing, I think, to take from that sort of work, is that we know that movement is good. And so if you're not working at the moment, it's something to be very mindful of in terms of the importance of maintaining some movement within your day. And the thing that's interesting about these people in the blue zones is that, they don't, as I said, they don't go to the gym and run on a treadmill and lift weights, but what they do is that they carry their groceries home from the shops. They do gardening, they carry wood, they, and they are all things that we can be mindful of in our everyday life in terms of how can I, bring movement. It might be as simple as, when you're hanging clothes on the line, is that you squat down every time you pick clothes up out of the basket, or you consciously put the basket of clothes on the ground and you squat down to pick up the clothes when you hang them on the line. It sort of sounds a bit cheesy, but it's a way of introducing and just bringing movement into your everyday.
Yeah, it definitely does.
I think, and I think it's in, this is just, it's a little bit of a segue, but just something to be very mindful of for hospitality workers is that, as we start to move into this period of time where, hopefully people are returning back into their job, is that it may take it can take some time to build up that stamina for standing and walking again. And if you've had a few months where you haven't been as active as normal, and you've perhaps spent a bit more time than normal on the couch, it's just knowing that it can take some time for your body to adjust to that. And you may get a few aches and pains, and we call that work conditioning. The best way to get fit for work is to be at work. And it's a bit of a segue off this topic, but it's an important point in terms of, I guess, knowing that what you're returning to, and that low-grade, consistent physical movement is actually such an important factor for maintaining good health. And so if we have a look at those next 2 points, so again, if we're bringing these back to the, to what are the common factors that the research has shown leads to longevity and to good health in these blue zone areas across the world, is then the third point is around connection to community and family. And again, I know we've touched on this in terms of the relevance for, for hospitality workers and in our current challenge of living in this new way of the world of COVID-19, is thinking about it's still fundamentally important to be connected to the community and the family unit that you have. And for some people that concept of family may not be necessarily, being married or having a lifelong partner, but family can be your immediate friendship group, or your close circle of friends. That is your community. So for everyone, it
can even feel like family sometimes too.
Absolutely. It can sometimes your friends you can be closer with your friendship group than your actual family. So whatever family represents for you, whether it is, you know, blood related family or a friendship group, it's having that connection to people and to your community that is your world. Is really, really important for mental health and well-being. And it's so important that we keep that in the forefront of our mind. This one is because it can, you know, we're now going on to sort of, you know, for most people we're heading into probably around about 8 weeks of you know, this more physically isolated way of living. And depending on, you know, what your individual situation is, it's definitely going to be months before it returns to any, you know, any sense of normal if we compare that to sort of before over to now. And so being very mindful of maintaining those connections that you have. And it can be easy sometimes just to not put effort into those areas if you're not feeling particularly fantastic, if you're feeling a bit flat, you're feeling maybe a bit down, you're feeling perhaps a sense of helplessness or hopelessness perhaps with your situation. But the reality is that it's, if we're feeling like that, that's even where it's even more important and will be beneficial to our health and particularly our mental health, by connecting, you know, with people. And it may be that it's having that awareness with yourself that when you least feel like it is perhaps when you most need it. And so, you know, what I would suggest is something very practical where you know, to suggest to people that that you make at least one call a day to someone who is in your family or your community group. And whether that be a phone call that you go for a walk at the same time and you walk and talk while having that catch up. Perhaps it's having a virtual cup of coffee with someone. You book in a time and have a coffee with them. Perhaps you share a meal together over video. You know, you can be as creative as you like. It's about doing it a different way. Or perhaps it's about, you know, because we can actually, and depending on where you're living, the rules are slightly different between states and countries, but most places you can see maybe 1 or 2 people, you know, for exercise. It may be calling yourself to action to actually book a time to meet someone, you know, to actually go for a walk and get outside and actually connect. And so just having that awareness that we may have slipped into some habits of letting go of some of those family connections and friend connections. And it's really important to put effort and energy into those areas of our lives, because we're human beings and we need people in our lives. And even though some people may be a little bit more introverted or, you know, enjoying being at home or enjoying this physical distancing, we fundamentally know that people still need connection with others for good mental health.
And I think it's you hit the nail on the head there. And, you know, connecting with someone that's close to you or connecting with a friend on a daily basis, it makes a big difference, and that to yourself. And you know, putting all these things into practice. One thing that I do daily is, you know, call at least 1 or 2 friends. And they might not be the same ones on each day of the week, and that sometimes they are. Sometimes I'm sure they get sick of me after a while. But having that one-on-one with them each day, and, you know, it keeps everyone's spirits lifted. And it keeps your own. You get off a call and you feel good once you get off the call. You've had a good chat. You're not talking about everything that's to do with you, and that. So it opens your mind up a little bit more as well. So it's definitely, I couldn't say more how important it is to keep that connection there with one another.
Yeah, and I think it's just about holding ourselves accountable to that. You know, it might be that you have a little goal of, you know, 3 or 4 people over the week that you are going to reach out to, and actually sort of, in a way, in a sense, forcing yourself to do it, or making yourself accountable to do that. And and the benefits will come back.
Yeah, totally.
And then the final point, if we look at this group of people in terms of, well, what are the common factors that the people across the world in these identified areas as blue zones have, is that there is an element of what we describe as low stress routines. So what that means is having some routines in your life. We know that our brains respond well to having that structured routine. And the sorts of examples may be thinking about what is it that relaxes you and what is it that rejuvenates you, and having that in your everyday routine. So it really is such an individual thing, but a couple of examples might be, if you enjoy reading a book and you find that relaxing, perhaps it is that you allow, or you factor into your day or schedule into your day, 10 minutes of reading every day. So that's your low stress routine. Perhaps you're someone who enjoys having a hot bath at the end of the day. It might be prayer for some people. It might be saying a blessing before meals. It may be having a board game after dinner. But they are things that are low stress and enjoyable and rejuvenating to you as a person, and things that are not high energy, I guess, is the other important factor. So it's about having some awareness around, well, what does relax me, and what I enjoy will be different to you, Liam, and different to the next person. I've taken this time with COVID to sort of realise that I enjoy sitting down and doing a jigsaw. I can tell you, I probably have not taken time to do that, I can honestly say, for 15 years. Honestly, but it's sort of, I've got this thing at the moment that I might just do, some days I might do half an hour of it, and other days I might only do 5 minutes, but I really enjoy having that to come back to, and it's kind of become this new little routine that I've established in my everyday that's a mindful activity, and it's really been fun, and it's sort of this new thing that it's a new routine that I've put into my life as a result of COVID. Yeah, so it's having a think about what works for you. So those 4 key factors: the sense of purpose, moving naturally, and consistent low grades of activity, connection with family and community, and low stress routines are some really nugget little sort of takeaways as to, well, what can we take away from these people across the world that have good quality, long lives and good health indicators? What can we take away from those? And so, there's some really great little takeaways there, I think.
No, I think so too. It's advice that, we all need, and we all need it, on a regular basis too, so we can stick to those and that. So it's, I know with low stress routines, and I think a lot of people, the way they've gone about their lives during COVID, I think a lot of people will put those things into practice once we're back at work and actually see that, oh wow, why weren't we doing this before? As well. No, well, thanks for joining us today, Sharon. It's been lovely to have you back on the show again. And
thanks.
Yeah, we hope to have a great week.
See you again. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Healthy Wednesday, people. Today we're going to learn how to make a drink which is fantastic for our hydration levels. If you're feeling dehydrated or have been working up a sweat exercising, this is one for you. Today I'm going to make a quick juice that will have you feeling great and hydrated within minutes. I've got some watermelon that's full of antioxidants, lots of vitamins, that's great for bone and heart health. We've also got some cucumber that I've lightly trimmed here, which is a great electrolyte replenisher. Gets those electrolytes back up after sweating a lot. I've got some mint, which is great for the digestive system, and kiwi fruit and lime, which is packed full of vitamin C. We're going to add them all to the blender. We've got a nice chunk of watermelon here. You can be really generous with your watermelon. So we'll just give that a light chop. Throw that in our blender. I've also trimmed up some cucumber here. Just going to give that a light chop. Really fresh. Got some kiwi fruit here too, which we're going to just cut in half. Only need to throw in half a kiwi. Got some lime. It's quite juicy, so just give both halves just a really light squeeze. There we go. And then we've got some beautiful fresh mint here, which I've just picked, and we're going to throw that in. So very, very simple, as you can see. As I always say, things can be prepared the night before or in the morning, and it's not going to take you any longer than 5 minutes to get ready. All you need to do is go out and grab it from your fruit and veg shop, from the supermarket, and it's so simple. So we're going to add some coconut water. Same again, 200 mils, perfect amount. I'm really looking forward to drinking this one. Absolutely delicious. Absolutely beautiful. We're going to whack some mint in the top of that. Add a straw. And look at that. Didn't take any longer than a few minutes to make. Yum. Absolutely beautiful. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you again on Friday. Today for Last Drinks, we welcome Dominique Rizzo to the show. Dominique has over 25 years experience within the hospitality industry as a chef, travel curator, media personality, and food advocate. She has been the proud owner of 2 restaurants and a wine bar, as well as being the author of a delicious Sicilian cookbook, which was inspired by her travels in Italy. How are you, Dominique? Thanks for joining us on the show.
Oh, thank you so much. It's an honour and an absolute pleasure.
No, thanks so much. So obviously it's been an interesting year so far. Tell us, I'm guessing you're pretty busy pre-COVID. What have you been working on since, and how have things changed for you?
Well, look, pre-COVID, I just about had my bags packed. My passport was ready to take 3 groups on my Italian food tours. So I had a group booked for Puglia. We were doing 10 days in Puglia, and then I was then flying to Sicily to meet another group. And after that, then I had another group. So I was very excited pre-COVID, running my food tours, and I had a couple of contracts. I had a new TV show that when I was coming back from my food tours, which was at the end of June. Yeah. So I was going to be away for a couple of months, and then end of June, we were going into filming for a new cooking show down on the Gold Coast. So pretty much that all just got quashed. And yeah, look, be honest, it really put me in a bit of a spin because I had all my clients who were just incredible, emailing me going, look, Dom, well, we're happy to postpone until next year. All my providers overseas, really great, and working with me saying, look, we'll hold your deposits, because I'd already paid all the deposits and everything, and tickets, you know, everyone's already everything planned. So that's all been pushed to next year. And a lot of my clients were like, look, we'd love to, we'll keep with it. And slowly but slowly, I think we're a little bit unsure about what is happening next year with regards to overseas travel.
Yeah.
So I've had quite a few people I've given quite a few refunds, but you know, they're all still keen. So it's really just a waiting game, Liam. And I think everybody, I think that uncertainty, and you and I were just talking before, it's that uncertainty of where you're going is a little off-putting.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm guessing it'd be a bigger effect for you being, you know, Italy as well.
Look, it was Italy, and then I had Spain at the end of the year. So all my top spots for my tours were the hot spots for the virus. So look, I'm really positive though. I'm thinking really positively about next year and the potential of, you know, getting my food tours and everything back on the ground. And my the providers that I work very closely with have been in contact with me and sort of said, look, Dom, we are all really excited to have you guys back. And you know, and I can imagine, I mean, that's their, you know, the tourist season in Europe is their main, I would say one of their main income sources. So everyone that I work with over there, you know, are really excited to kind of get back into working and have us over there and really show us an incredible time. So look, that's okay, because I've been on social media. I've been kind of putting out every sort of day, a day on tour to kind of get people to, you know, feel like they're traveling with me still, and posting lots of beautiful pictures and still kind of working on, you know, developing more tours and you know, tidying up the website. And there's all that behind the scenes work that you still need to catch up on, particularly
giving us a lot of time to do that.
Well, absolutely, Liam, and you know yourself, you know, I'm a one-woman show, so I basically just work for myself on my own. And when you get into the nitty-gritty behind everything, you know, there's a lot of work with regards to, you know, touching base with clients, your website updating, developing new tours, the social media side, keeping yourself out there, and that all takes time. And also the desire to keep going. It's, I think, for a lot of people, and I felt this too during this isolation period, quite deflated with regards to my zest for, you know, pushing and keep going, and that self, I suppose, that self promoting and the reliance on yourself alone when you are someone who just works for yourself. It's that motivation day by day to keep pushing and keep surging forward that sometimes has a little fall, but
And I guess you hit the nail on the head there. I know myself, and that from finding out those first couple of weeks were the hardest couple of weeks I think I have ever experienced. And I mean, it wasn't even feeling depressed or anything like that. It was more so just going, wow, everything has stopped. Now, what do you do to, you know, keep things going when everything's so busy all the time? And like, what do you work on next? What's going to be more, you know, current, and that with what everybody's going through. I guess at the end of the day, where, you know, and the comforting part about it is everyone's in the same boat. You know, no one's different to anybody else really at the moment. So, you know, that was probably my biggest comfort to take away from it and go, well, what can we do? And that now we have Hospo Happy Hour. What can we do to, you know, at least do something and stay in front of things, rather, because I know myself, I could have just gone, I'm just going to take the next like 10 weeks off and do nothing. And that, but it's not going to, you know, it's not going to be beneficial at the end of it all, because we're all going to have to pick up and, you know, restart again.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Look, I'm really grateful. Fortunately for myself, was my partner and I opened up a cafe restaurant about 5 years ago, locally just down the road from where I live. And fortunately, we sold last year in September. I had the cafe restaurant and cooking school, and then my partner opened a wine bar next door. So we were very complementing as businesses. I did breakfast, lunch, he did sort of dinner and tapas. And look, touch wood that, we were able to sell last year, and consequently I've sort of been working at home because I kind of work for myself doing, you know, recipe development and a lot of sort of contract work. So for me personally, being in isolation or you know, being in a bit of a lockdown, it was kind of like, oh well, look, this is sort of, I'm kind of used to it because I had been working from home. But what frightened me was, I suppose, the work that I had lined up. That all started to kind of break down and sort of drizzle away. And then, you know, I started panicking, going, oh, okay, well, what's going to happen now? Where am I going? What's my direction? And it's been great, and it's been kind of a little, like I say, not that I've been depressed, but I have been a bit down a few times, when you sort of think, where's my direction? And I'm really questioning, I suppose, the next stage of my career and of my life, and what do I want to do, and what direction do I want to move into. And I'll always kind of stick with food, but I'm just sort of looking in new paths and new areas of where my skill level can be put to use, that I suppose for me gives me a little bit more, I suppose, a little bit more essence of helping other people, and also something that's a bit more fulfilling than just posting pretty pictures of food online. So you know, to that, so that's where I'm kind of moving a little bit towards looking at different avenues on where I can utilize my chefing skills to kind of either help others to learn how to cook, or move into another area, as well as still kind of keeping all the balls up in the air with my food tours and the other contracts that I have. And just, you know, it's always, when you're working for yourself, you're always kind of looking for different ways, as you are, you know, working for different, because it's, you know, one thing can fall down. You always got to have a few eggs in the basket. And this in business, and I suppose pretty much throughout my career in the restaurants that I have owned, it's always been something that I have believed has been quintessential in a successful business, is not only to be flexible yourself, but to also have that diversity within yourself and your business, so that you're not relying on just one basket. You know, so I've always...
You need to have it.
Absolutely. So
especially as a business owner.
Yeah. So when I had Patia, we had, I had the cooking classes, we sold products, we did catering, we had the restaurant. So there was a few, you know, if one was a little slow, then we had the other to pick it up. And so that was, I mean, it makes you work a lot more, but I really enjoy doing lots of different things at once. I kind of thrive on that diversity, not only of myself, but in my businesses. And I find that it pushes you to kind of step out of the comfort zone of your four walls of your sort of your working environment, to kind of really put yourself out there. Risk is very big in business, as you know, taking that risk, taking that leap, and then, you know, seeing what happens.
Yeah, waiting for it to all unfold. And that, like, I love the diversity of having a business. I didn't want to just be a chef and that for the rest of my life, and that. And I thought, well, what can I do? And I have to say, as a business owner over the last 6 years, the experiences that I've had have been absolutely wonderful, and the people we've met as well along the way, it's been wonderful. So it's been quite a stressful time. What things do you try and do, Dom, to manage your mental health?
Look, what I have been doing is not sitting on social media constantly, because, do you know what, to be honest, I was finding that I was actually getting anxiety from sitting on social media. And I think it was just for no other apparent reason, but just the pressure that I was putting on myself to kind of be, oh my God, that's, you know, I should be doing this, and I should be posting that, and I should be doing more of this and more of that. And so I really had to kind of, you know, I've been reading a lot more of quotes and people saying, you know, it's okay if you haven't learned a new language, start a new business, you're online, you're doing this, you're doing that, because we all deal things in a different way. So I really took probably the first few weeks that was just like, oh my God, this is what's happened, to kind of sit and wallow a little bit. And then I went, right, Dom, it's time to pick it up. And, you know, connecting with friends, you know, you'd kind of go, look, let's go out and meet for a coffee, or let's go and have a drink to catch up. And I thought, no, I'm going to catch up and go walking and do something that's physical, breathe in the air, walk by the ocean, walk by the sea. That's been amazing for me. And I've got 3 dogs, so my partner and I will go out walking a lot. But, you know, living with your partner, working with your partner, it's kind of, sometimes it does get a little intense, and it's nice to break away and have your own space. So I've been catching up with my girlfriends and we'll go walking, or we'll go, trying different places and go to the beach or walking along the water's edge. That's been huge for me. And also just kind of shifting my focus onto more positive aspects of my business where I can grow the business under these circumstances, coming up with new ideas of how I can continue my business, but just with a little bit of a twist. So that's been really great as well. And I think it's kind of created a bit more excitement in myself for sort of, okay, well, I can see some light at the end of the tunnel as to where I'm moving to. Yeah,
exercise is a good one. We've really focused on that over the last few weeks on the show as well. And that just getting outside and doing things. And I was the same. And that for the first 2 weeks, I sat there just trolling the news.
Yeah.
Just reading the news, like hoping for an answer, hoping for some good news. And it just wasn't coming. And then I got to the point where it's like, right, phone's getting switched off. Social media is getting switched off.
You just stop absorbing. Like you can just get lost. And before you know it, 5 hours have gone and you're just sitting there scrolling through. And I think I find it really internalized everything. And I was, just feeling anxious about where I was going, what I was doing, I'm not putting as much as that person or that business is doing that or they're doing that, and just kind of got back into that, comparing yourself with other businesses or other people. And
we all know you can't do that. You've got to run your own race, and not worry about the other noise around you sometimes, and that, because it does get overwhelming.
Absolutely. And also we've built a new garden, so we've changed our backyard to a built some beautiful vegetable gardens. We've moved our chicken coop and redesigned the chicken coop. I've got new chooks. I'm planning on doing a very small sort of boutique private kind of cooking school here at home as well, so I can kind of do private lessons. So we're wanting to kind of get the garden happening so we can kind of pick produce from the garden, utilize it in the kitchen. So so there's I've always got a few fires burning, Liam, whether they're raging, roaring bonfires or they're just a tiny flame. There's always something that's kind of just starting, and
as long as there's a flame there to start it, that's all you need sometimes.
That's it.
So what can we I think we always try and finish our last drink session on something positive that we can give to our industry, give to our hospo workers, and that to give them some inspiration to look forward to for the future.
Absolutely.
I know it's a bit hard to pull the crystal ball out right now and have a look at it and gaze in and go, oh, this is where we're going. But, just something to help.
Look, I think I'm going to speak just solely from someone who has been a chef in restaurants like yourself, been an owner, operator, and has stepped out of that kitchen scene. So if there's any chefs out there that are looking for a change, I just think that there's so much opportunity outside of a kitchen. If you've come to the point where you've had enough, I mean, I'm almost 50 and my body is not the same as what it was in my 20s, where I was doing 70, 80 hours and throwing 20-kilo bags of potatoes on my shoulder and walking up hills, and it takes its toll on your body, especially I think. Well, not necessarily for women, because women, we're pretty strong. We're just as strong as the boys. But I have no children either, so I'm just myself and my partner. So I don't have any kids to kind of look after. But I would recommend anyone out there who's kind of grappling with where to next, to possibly just start to think a little bit outside the box, that you don't necessarily have to walk back into a kitchen if that's something that you don't want to do. I'm looking to start upskilling myself and to potentially work in the disability sector, to assisting people with disabilities and teaching them how to cook, and sort of getting into that industry that I can, pass my skills on to people who really just appreciate just the smallest little aspect of, picking up a new skill and helping them develop their skills to become more independent. And that's something that I'm really passionate about. For them and for me, as I said, I'm really looking for something that's got a bit more purpose and more meaning, so that Yeah, I just think sometimes that the industry can be a little bit fickle and a bit superficial, and it's all very glossy and beautiful photos, and we're lightrooming everything. But I think the fundamental of, I want to leave this earth knowing that I have made a difference and have contributed in a way that has really helped somebody to better their life. And through food, like how I have this gift, that's kind of my way. So yeah, so I'm really kind of looking into different areas of how I can upskill myself. I mean, all I know, Liam, is really how to cook, and I've been a chef pretty much my life, and I was in kitchens since I was a little girl, and that's it. And it's quite frightening when you look back and you go, gee, I'm a chef and that's all I can do. And I'm sort of looking through seek at other opportunities, and I think, oh, Dom, you don't have that, you don't know there's skill in there, but you could do it. But yeah, so looking to upskill myself to kind of, so it gives me more opportunity and I suppose more scope and more confidence that I can step into some other areas whilst still working and taking my food tours and doing the other aspects of my business that I love doing.
Yeah, that's one thing I try and throw in when I'm talking to different groups about, career pathways and things like that. Like you might be stuck in hospitality, you might be stuck in a hospitality course to become either a chef or, a manager, but you don't have to make that your whole life.
No, that's right.
There's other things out there, and if you want to do it, you can actually do it.
Absolutely.
And, you don't have to hold back, and that you can follow that path and that path and that path, and you're going to enjoy it, as opposed to just staying on the one path your whole life and then getting to the end of it and going, oh, what was that all about?
Absolutely.
And I know personally, I never wanted to be in that boat. I started as a butcher before I was a chef.
Yeah.
And that, so, starting at 14 and that you get to 34 and then you're like, well, 20 years, that's just disappeared. And that, do I want to do this for another 20 years? Or do I want to keep learning? And that's the best thing about it, is we can keep learning and upskilling ourselves to, do things and help others at the same time. And it's the fulfilling aspect of it as well, of helping others, see, enjoyment and get fulfillment out of what you can give as well.
Absolutely. Look, one of the greatest things that I have learned, and I recently went to Norfolk Island just right before lockdown hit, and I went over there kind of helping a friend in her business, in her kitchen, and basically I was just helping her reset up the kitchen, sorting out her freezers, labeling, sorting out the pantry and everything. And do you know what? Taking the emphasis off oneself and giving of service to somebody else was the most incredible experience, and it allowed me to just kind of almost, it freed me up from just thinking about, oh my God, my life, what's happening to me, my business, my financials, you know what I mean? It really kind of, I just felt this extreme sense of freedom just helping someone else and kind of putting the energy into, I suppose, giving her some assistance, which then kind of gave me a renewed sense of purpose. And I came back kind of like, okay, right, I'm feeling much better about the whole sort of, situation, and I'm able to go in, and I got into lockdown, and then just started like, right, well, this is what I'm going to do for myself now. So I would highly recommend that if you are feeling a bit lost and you're not sure where you're going, do something for someone else, give yourself over, and just allow your mind to kind of just let it go. And the answer, as my mother always says, Liam, the answer will come to you, Dominique.
It eventually does.
Eventually does, exactly.
Yeah. No, it's been an absolute pleasure having you join us on the show today, Dom. And I'd like to thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today.
Yeah, thanks so much. So look, keep looking out for my food tours, Liam. They will be happening, and my new show. It's all just been pushed, but it's all going to happen. So
amazing.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much.
Well, I wish you all the best. All the best for the next few months, and good luck with everything.
Yeah, thank you very much, Liam. You too. I'll be very keen on your new plans, and I'll keep an eye out for them all. Yeah.
All right. Great to see you.
Yeah. See you later. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye. Well, that's all we have time for today. If anyone is struggling with their mental health and would like to seek a professional, you can reach out to us at www.hospoforlife.com.au, and we can help you with a free one-on-one with a psychologist to get you started. Big thanks to our partners, Warner's Gin and Altius Group, for supporting the show. On Friday's episode, we'll be discussing with Jack Whitaker, exercise physiologist, about why and how to address the motivation to exercise. We will then be catching up with the Professor and Chair of Mental Health from Adelaide University, Nicholas Proctor. Stay strong and stay united in spirit to create a positive change for a healthier industry. I'm Chef Liam Crawley. Have a great evening.